Hi, and welcome back to Back to Basics. We are now on part 4. We are going to get into the food groups today and your nutrient calculations. So we talked about macronutrients, we talked about micronutrients, and now we're getting ready to take that and break it down a little bit further into the food groups and then your actual calculations. So, again, as usual, I want to talk about our 3 questions. Why do we do what we do? Why don't we do what we should do? And then if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be and why? I hope you're still working on that every day, really honing in on exactly what it is that you're trying to gain as your outcome. This is probably a good time we should mention goal setting and uh, writing your affirmations and then actually speaking them into the mirror. I feel like these questions kind of align with affirmations. All right, so there are the basic food groups: grains, vegetables, fruits, dairy, meats, and beans. Now, if you're not a dairy eater, this is going with what used to be the food guide pyramid. Now it's my plate. It keeps changing, but that is the breakdown. It might not be your specific food groups because you may be vegetarian or vegan, but that is the basic for just a normal diet. That is the breakdown. And when you get into your nutrient calculations, it is based on your age, gender, height, weight, and activity level. So obviously, young kids, need more nutrient um, food, like more calories than like an older adult who has is slower down and their activity level is not as high. Or you're looking at a bodybuilder versus someone who is sedentary. So again, take all of those factors into consideration when you're working on your nutrient calculations. So this would be the time I would tell you to get out uh, pen and paper, or you can save this video or save the slide or take a screenshot. So your nutrient calculations, how much of a nutrient should you be consuming? So this is just based on a 1,500 calorie diet. This is where your age, height, and weight would come in because according to um, your age, height, and weight, gender, is going to tell you exactly how many calories you should be eating along with your activity level. But this is just a basic based on a 1,500 calorie diet. I always say for a male, you should never go below 1,500, and a female, you should never go below 1,200. Obviously, now there's all these different fad diets out there where you're like almost starving yourself. Different than just doing a fast, but they have you on these like really short bouts of 900 calories. So of course, yes, you're going to lose weight, and then when you go back to a normal. So again, we're taking all of that confusion out. I just want you to understand where these numbers come from. So if you're looking at a 1,500 calorie diet, we're going to look at carbohydrates first. So 45 to 65% of your diet should come from carbohydrates. So you'll see the formula there. Remember when I talked about that 4 calories per gram back when we were talking about your macros? That's where these numbers come in into this formula here. So you take 1,500, you multiply that by 45%. That's because if you're going for weight loss, you're always going to use the smaller number of the two. So instead of the 65, we're going to use 45. But maybe you're trying to bulk up, maybe you're trying to gain weight. So then you would go and you would be using the 65. So 15 times 45% is 675. You divide that by 4 because it's 4 calories per gram, giving you 168 grams of carbs per day. So that's where now you've got those grams. Now what do they fall into? And that's where your food groups would kind of come back in. Am I gonna and again, that's just for your carbohydrates. So carbs are found in so many different foods. You even see sugar in milk. So that because sugar falls into the carbohydrate category, you're like, oh, I didn't realize I could have carbs from milk. Well, it's the sugar in the milk. So you'd be surprised at where you're going to find carbohydrates, protein, and fat. So looking at protein now, There's two different ways. I put the one on here that I've always gone by from my nutrition class from years ago in college. So protein is based by your weight, or you can do the 20% math. But we're going to do this fun one because it's different and most people don't use this one. So you take your weight and you multiply it by 0.45. Then you take that number and multiply it by zero point 0.8. This gives you the amount of your daily protein. So for example, back when I weighed 135 pounds, I multiplied that by 0.45, gave me 60.75. I multiplied that by that 0.8, giving me 49 grams of protein per day. Now, I know a lot of you are like, that's not enough, or some of you are like, that's too much, because there was a big, huge thing when weightlifting and bodybuilding was a huge, like back when I guess when Arnold Schwarzenegger was the king. Um, it was, I'd heard so many different things, but like a pound per pound is how many grams of protein you should have. And it's really hard on the kidney and liver to process that much protein. So just be very careful when you're eating these super high protein diets because your body has to filter that, as well as consuming it all like these massive amounts because your body has to process it. So it's really hard to like give yourself, 100 and some grams of protein and then you wait a little bit and then you're eating another like 50 grams. Really take that number. So like for me, for instance, let's just round it to 50. I might split that up between like 15, 15 and 20. So just kind of be careful. You don't want to consume it all in one thing. Now, I've seen now where they have protein shakes where it's like a massive amount of protein in these shakes. Typically, I always look for between 15 and 35. I know that's kind of a big number, but if you can stick somewhere in, I don't know, maybe 20 and 25, again, whatever works for you. But um, you don't ever want to pay a lot of money for a little bit of protein. So you want to make sure if you're buying a protein shake, it should have an adequate amount of protein. And I always, anytime when I'm looking at a food label, I want to make sure my protein, especially if it's a protein bar, outweighs the carbohydrates. You'll see now a lot of energy bars they'll be high in protein, and then but the sugar, because they've added the sugar or a sugar alcohol, which is zero sugar, but it's still a sugar alcohol. So if you're diabetic, sugar alcohols are still bad for you. It's those where you find in the sugar-free products. Uh, but the sugar will outweigh the protein. I'm like, that kind of offsets it. So just be careful when you're looking for a protein bar. It should be exactly what it is that you're looking for. It should be giving you that protein. And then the last one is the fat. You want 20 to 35% of your diet should come from fat. So you're going to take 1,500 times 0.20, because remember, or 20%, because we're going for the lower, equals 300. And now you're dividing that by 9 grams because there's more calories by gram in fat. So you're divided by 9, giving you 33 grams of fat per day. So this is just your basic calculations. Again, if you want it designed specifically for you, let me know. I can run the numbers for you. There's different programs online. I'm sure that you can find that you can get your specific calorie intake, because then again, once you have that calorie um, count at the top, your basic, you got to figure out also with your activity level. So it does go a little bit deeper here, but it's hard to do that based on general population. So again, if you need something specific, please let me know. And then don't forget, you can never outwork a bad diet. So with weight loss success, 80% of that is going to come from your nutrition and 20% of your physical activity. So just keep that in mind when you are eating, and make sure that whatever you're putting in your mouth, it's doing something for your body, because you want to always burn more than you consume. And even though, you can say, all right, well, I worked out and all I had that day was a chocolate cake, but it's like, what is that chocolate cake going to do for you? So make sure that the food that's going into your body is actually doing something for your body that will help you continue on this success. All righty. Tomorrow we'll meet back for more information. Back to basics. Thank you.